you one-time ticket. What the fuck?
It's funny. I've been doing what I'm doing right now for, I don't know, 5 years, 4 years. Time is a fickle mistress. But there's been a lot of discussions. I've even debated the one and only Ben Burgess on the very topic of cancel culture. And it's not as a hot topic today as it was in the past, but certainly it's something people still talk about. Cancel culture, the very idea that, you know, if you fall out of line publicly, you suddenly will be canceled, and then you lose everything, and all the social medias come after you, and all of that. Prominent example usually is Louis C.K. Louis C.K. Was accused by multiple women of forcing them to watch him masturbate against their consent, including locking them in rooms while he forcibly masturbated in front of them. And once that came out, and that information came out, he lost Louis, the TV show. He lost an upcoming animated series he was going to do on Netflix, and everyone was like, yeah, Louis has been canceled. Cancel culture is real. It can happen to anyone. And the reality of the situation is that he went on to win a Grammy a couple of years later, and you know, is touring now and is on Joe Rogan and is selling out shows just like anyone else. Kevin Spacey, another example. He's going through the whatever the anti-cancellation thing is right now, the rehabilitation thing, where like Sharon Stone is coming out and being like, I think it was unjust to cancel Kevin Spacey. He was proved innocent and everything. Please, before you want to rehabilitate Kevin Spacey's image, Tucker Carlson, everyone should watch the documentary Spacey Unleashed, I think is what it's called. Or maybe it's Kevin Unleashed or something like that. But there's a 2-part documentary that just came out that interviews a lot of Kevin Spacey's victims. And they are all men. And it's all men, like the level of bravery when you watch that. It's a form of bravery that you don't often see associated with masculinity, which is vulnerability, which is just a whole bunch of guys telling firsthand accounts. And honestly, it's a hard watch. Like I will give you a trigger warning for it for sure. If you're someone who can't handle that kind of content, it's people detailing multiple stories of sexual and physical abuse that they suffered under Kevin Spacey. But holy fuck, the bravery of those dudes! Like you know, to go on camera and to tell their stories, and to do it specifically. The reason that every single one of them gets to eventually is that they want other men to feel safe and comfortable coming forward with their own stories, because guys don't talk about that kind of stuff. Guys don't talk about their sexual abuse. Guys don't talk about their physical abuse because it makes you less of a man. It makes you less manly to talk about how you may have been taken advantage of. You can be taken advantage of by a woman. You can be taken advantage of by a man. You can be taken advantage of by a non-binary person. Like, people can take advantage of you if you're a man, but the ability to speak about it is such a taboo amongst the very idea of, like, you know, the toxic masculinity culture kind of shit. So watch that documentary. It's really, really good. That being said, right now what is happening in the world of cancel culture, aka the Jack Black shit. The storyline is that, I think it was 2 days ago, Tenacious D, Jack Black's band, of which I was a fan of, one of the two frontmen, Kyle Gass, basically made a joke about Donald Trump being assassinated, and said, hey, let's make a birthday wish. What are you going to wish for? I'm going to wish for next time don't miss. That was the joke that he made. And so, like anything, any other joke, any joke in the world, you can criticize it. You can be like, that's in poor taste. How dare you, sir? You're talking about Hitler too. You don't say this. You can get really mad at him for the joke. But Jack Black, in a story that otherwise I don't think we would have even known about it. Outside of the people who went to that concert, maybe, and maybe a couple of video clips would have gone kind of viral or something. But Jack Black made it a national story when all of a sudden he, the next day, said that they're suspending the tour, suspending the band, potentially just breaking the band up, and because he was unaware that Kyle was going to do that. He was caught on guard. He cannot support it. Immediately, Kyle's own agency drops him. So Tenacious D is effectively no longer touring. They're canceling tour dates. They're doing all this shit. Again, over a joke. And whether or not you think the joke is in poor or excellent taste is in the eye of the beholder. But to see, like, you know, Jack Black just turn his back on a lifelong friend like this over this of all things, and for what? For Kung Fu Panda 5? To play Bowser again? Like that Bowser cash? You already got it. You have it. You've already been Bowser. You have millions and millions and millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars. You can live the most comfortable, treasured life possible forever. And you never have to worry about ever making another dime for the rest of your life, right? In residuals alone, you're probably going to continue to make tons and fuck tons of money. Like, you're also a rock star. You're one of the few, like, people who believes that they can both act and sing and actually can. There's not a lot of them. There's a lot of actors who think that they should also be singers, and a lot of singers who think they should also be actors. Very few of them actually, like, justifiably should be both, you know? Jamie Foxx, Donald Glover, Bo Burnham. Like, there's some examples for you. But for the most part, there's a lot of just terrible overlap, you know, that goes over there. Oh, who's the 80s guy? The one that's massive only in Germany. He's a singer and he's famous, but he's only super famous in Germany, and he's like an 80s star from Baywatch. I've got to be Hasselhoff, thank you. I was like, I've got to be narrowing it down. Someone's gonna get it here eventually. No, J-Lo. Okay. Look, if we're going on tangents here, J-Lo and her new film is one of the greatest movies of the year. It absolutely is. It is one of the funniest disasters I have ever seen. It is amazing. It is a fantastic and phenomenal waste of money. I think anyone watching it should have to do their due diligence where they calculate the amount of children who could have been fed by the budget of that film instead of making it. But along the way, she must have had so many people tell her, don't do this. You are delusional if you think this is a good idea. This is a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. This movie has no point. It's ridiculous. The plot does not exist. It is a vanity project of the tallest order. And if you do this, people will laugh at you and you will be like $40 million broker. But, you know, you do you. And she did it. She was like, fuck it. Fuck the haters. I'm going full Delulu. I am going to make this masterpiece. And what a masterpiece it is. It is honestly one of the funniest bad good movies. It's up there with Troll 2, Birdemic. It is so fantastically hilarious. It is so inappropriate. It doesn't make sense. The music is so bad. It's just like a wonderful train wreck. She got a lot of celebrities to be in it. And I am assuming that a lot of their schedules didn't line up. So she filmed them all in front of green screens. They all play like basically all the astrological signs. So you've got like Post Malone and Neil deGrasse Tyson and all these other people, but they clearly are not in the same room with each other. They're clearly just reading lines in front of green screens, and then they've edited them all to seem like they're in the same room together, so no one has the right tone or cadence as if you're having a normal human conversation. Like it's as if, again, someone was just like, here's your script, go in front of the green screen and read your lines, and then you have to have conversations with other people, but you have no idea what they sound like. How like, it's basically the way Joe Biden speaks now, where it's like, you shouldn't be screaming and yelling that part of the sentence that makes no sense, and like, you shouldn't sound happy right now, and you shouldn't sound sad right now. This is so weird. All of these big name famous celebrities all just like in this fake room together playing these gods where none of them are talking to each other, but they're all talking to each other, but it doesn't sound like any of them are having a conversation. Again, it's profoundly bizarre. I highly recommend the film. Do not support it financially, and yeah, go enjoy it. You will laugh. It will give you a thing. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, cancel culture. So the Jack Black cancel culture saga has resulted in a lot of mixed opinions. People on the internet, conservatives, are totally cool canceling him in the same way they're totally cool canceling Destiny right now, by the way. Trust me, I'm not here to, I'm gonna give it to Destiny. Destiny, the guy who does, you know, and creates content IRL with Nick Fuentes. No, fuck that guy. But the fact that Destiny is like a monstrous piece of shit, when he's a monstrous piece of shit to bad people, like people like liberals and leftists, they love him because they're like, holy shit, Destiny is just saying the worst possible thing, but he's saying it about really, really bad people. Like, it's one thing if someone, like, you know, calls everyone subhuman or something like that, right? When they call a Nazi subhuman, suddenly you're like, oh yeah, badass, good for you. You're calling Nazi subhuman. But when you call trans people subhuman, you're like, that's disgusting. Why would you do that? Well, it's like, but he's equal opportunity, you know, calls everyone subhuman or all that. Well, right now you're witnessing him going after and mocking Donald Trump's assassination attempt and you know, the people surrounding it, and just the conservatives and the right. Holy fuck, are they losing their minds? The whole like believes in more free speech and more cancel culture. Like, Kick, the basically pedophile streaming network, gave him like a 2-week suspension. Elon Musk personally intervened to demonetize him on Twitter. Like, the right, no principles, no morals. It's all team sports. They do not give a fuck about any of this shit. They will advocate and tell you all the time that they care about my free speech, my free speech. They care about their team having as much speech as possible. That's what they like. That's what they're saying when they're like, "Oh, I care deeply about free speech. I care deeply about free speech." And so now you're seeing this also coming out, where basically people like Ninja, if you don't know, he's like one of the world's most famous gamers, talking about cancel culture.
First Sketch, next is Ninja. Dear God, bro, leave me alone. I will say though, bro, like the internet lately, though, it is. I'm pretty damn confident that your boy's clean. Everyone is just, it just seems like people are just literally looking to cancel anyone and everyone at all times. And it's just, I feel like the internet, like literally, it's every day. But dude, chat, it is every day. It is something new. Every day it is something. It is someone's getting canceled or trying to. For
just so you know, by the way, Sketch, the person he was mentioning before this, Sketch was quote unquote canceled. Because it was revealed that he had done OnlyFans with a man. He had had gay sex in OnlyFans. That was the whole like, oh my god, I can't believe this guy. He lied to us. I thought I knew you, and all this kind of shit comes out. Cancel culture means so many different things to so many different people, and like there is a very real element to cancel culture that I want to acknowledge, and that is that like, you can have your social media roasted and taken away from you very, very easily by Nazis, right-wingers, Christian fascists, all that kind of stuff, mass flagging your accounts. I've had it happen to me. It's happened twice. I've had 2 different YouTube channels completely taken down. Just like, boom. This is why people always like, they used to bring me on a lot of podcasts and do other shows because they were like, Lance, you're the leftist who's an example of cancel culture. Like, you lost an entire YouTube channel because you were falsely mass flagged. And I was like, yeah, it's a great example of how these systems can be utilized by fascists in order to try and silence speech. Because they don't want me to make fun of PewDiePie, or they don't want me to make fun of Joe Rogan, or they don't want me, so they're just like, or the Quarterine, or whatever group of people it was. And so, yeah, they're going to falsely mass flag you to try and take you down. But I had the privilege of having a moderately sized social media following at the time. Actually, it was very small. This kind of Streisand affected me. But all of these lefties, and a lot of the free speech advocates, by the way, there are some free speech absolutists who actually do adhere to that principle to a fault, I would say. But like people like Kyle Kalinske had no idea who I was. Immediately, it's like, hey, apparently the Serfs was taken down, blah, blah, blah. This is terrible. Hassan Piker, whoever took down the Serfs, this is bad. Like, so people were making a noise and a stink about it online. I got on the Majority Report for the first time. That was actually how I met and started becoming friends with Michael Brooks. Like, all this happened rapidly and out of nowhere because of a cancellation, essentially. And within 48 hours, YouTube restored my entire YouTube channel and apologized. They apologized publicly, and I ended up framing that. I don't know where it is. It's somewhere. But anyways, that was a whole saga. If you're new to watching me, that's what happened like 4 years ago. So cancel culture can happen, and it happens a lot, especially people who are in vulnerable communities. You can just listen to trans people tell you about their experiences online and what that's like, and what it's like to try and be political. Or women, like, just listen to women talk about what it's like to be political online. Holy fuck. It's like, yes, I would like to express an opinion. Oh, you should Minecraft yourself, blah blah blah, I hope you get assaulted, blah blah blah, I'm so horny and angry, blah blah blah, like all this kind of shit. It's like, holy fuck. There is a very real danger to being a visible minority on the internet, to being a woman on the internet, all that kind of stuff. And yes, your accounts can get taken down. And then there is also the extrapolation of this, where it's like, hey, your social media activity is getting people fired in the real world, right? So on one end, it's like, hey, this person doesn't do anything on their social media that affects their everyday job, but on their social media, they're kind of a Nazi. But when they go to their job, they leave it at the online office. So, they take off their Nazi hat, and then they just seem like a normal person during the day. But then when they go to work, they're a Nazi. So what's the the ethics of firing people based on their social media profiles? And that whole principle really comes down to, what is a safe workplace environment for everybody, right? Because there could be people who work at that place of work who are Jewish, who are black, who are indigenous, who don't want to be around a Nazi, a guy who like goes on social media and just like, you know, uses the N-word every 2 seconds and talks about how all the media is controlled by the Jews and all that kind of stuff. They might not feel safe. Their work environment might not be safe, right? Their speech might be being silenced in the process. So there is a very delicate balancing act when discussing this topic and trying to, you know, approach it from any angle. But I have to be very, very clear. All of that is separate than people are called out for their shit and don't want to deal with it. Like, that's the whole part that people conflate, and the right does a really bad job of that, when it's like, hey, you're just getting called out for a shitty take or opinion. That's it. Right? Like, I don't know why you're trying to turn this into a just cause. You're trying to make a career out of being like the N-word Karen, all that kind of stuff. Like, you just got called out. You were a white woman who made a TikTok video where you dropped an N-word, and then right after doing that, everyone tried to call you out as in like, you seem way too comfortable with this, and you could have easily just done another video where like, I'm really sorry, I deeply apologize, I realized that was incredibly offensive, it's something that I'm not going to be doing again in the future, I understand why it's problematic and hurtful, whatever it is, whatever you want to try and do, blah, blah, blah. But instead she went the other way. Instead she was just straight up like, haha, you fell into my trap, black people, and now you've made me famous, and I can't wait to do the right-wing media circuit. And like, it's wonderful that she actually just crashed and burned so rapidly in the span of like a month, because it turns out she apparently wasn't white enough for the Nazis. So yeah, that's the thing that'll happen to you. But so that whole thing, call out culture versus cancel culture, like, I think people always conflate the two things, and really when it comes down to it, it's like, I've been doing this professionally for 5 years now. I speak, you know, 5 days a week for 3 to 4 hours a day. There is a endless amount of clips or moments that you can take and use to then put me on blast, as people often do, on the internet, and then be like, this the Serfs fella, he said the bad thing, it's over, you canceled, right? And then you get to a realization that yes, this is a part of it. There is call out culture for sure. People are going to call out your shitty takes, but then what you do from that is up to you, right? Like, do you listen? Do you like? I'm not trying to virtue signal, even though I know this is by definition virtue signaling. But like, when people within your own community tell you, hey, by the way, you fucked up, or hey, by the way, this is wrong. Like, I know you're trying to help. Your heart's in the right place, Lance. But like, it's really offensive for you, a white guy, to be saying this about this group, right? And it's like, oh, okay, sorry, yeah, I apologize, or all right, we're trying to better each other, and we're just more online and interconnected than we ever have been before. But this is the same shit that human beings have been doing fucking forever, right? Like, this is about the very shifting of the Overton window itself, and it just feels now as if it's more rapid fire because we are all interconnected and online more than we ever were before. I did this yesterday.
That's how I roll.
Still so hard to watch that scene. As a dog lover, as someone who absolutely adores Chico. But what the fuck, Jack Black? What are you doing?
Secret bonus episodes as well as uncensored content, go to patreon.com/theserfs. This show is produced by Anna Loves Riley, Arian McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Puppy, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demel, Travis McClinton, Trincell, Words Greenwood, with additional support coming from all of these amazing human beings right here.